Human evolution and emergence of man, within that biological and cultural factors in human evolution. So what is human evolution as such? Let us question the title. Human evolution means, good evening everyone, good evening Venkatramanamma. Human evolution means humans have evolved, as opposed to the idea that humans were created. There was a theory called special creation, theory of what you call divine origin. ये सब बहुत आए थे. So all these were disproved by Darwin, and later, even before him, some scholars tried to do that, but Darwin has been more successful. And how out of this evolution man has emerged, in the sense the Homo sapiens of today, what we stand here and talk to each other, these species have evolved over long periods of time. Evolution is a very, very gradual, very big span of time, spanning millions of years rather. And how that evolution has happened, it can be seen broadly in two parts. One is the biological part, the other is the cultural part. That means today we can say, sir, you are saying that we are biological beings, and don't you think that we are different from animals? Man and animals are different. Yeah, both are absolutely right. We are humans. We are separate from the animal kingdom. That is 100% right. But at the same time, we have the biological basis for this. At the bottom of the things, at the base, we are basically biological beings. You remember in one of my earlier references, I mentioned about BSc. BSc क्या चीज होती है? You see, I've drawn this triangle. BSc. Where did I put B? I put the letter B at the bottom. B for base rather. B for biology. S for society. C for culture. So if you want to study humans better, from which angle you will study? The three angles: biological, social, and cultural. Right? हमारा syllabus भी देख लो आप. And in syllabus, it is very clearly all these three dimensions are visible. And what is the base of all that? Biological, because basically we are biological beings. From biological beings, we have become social beings and cultural beings. At the bottom again, let us go back to the biological beings. How are we as biological beings? In biological understanding, biologically speaking, we are called as Homo sapiens. So that means we have a technical name, we have a scientific name. Homo means humans, sapiens mean man, like wise man. Sapiens means wise. Homo means man. So it translates roughly into wise man. Wise man, matlab, what about this wise man? Then what are, don't you think, are you saying something that others are not wise? Probably yes, because compared to the longer trends of evolution, many organisms have come and gone, but humans marched on. Today's Homo sapiens is a result of millions of years of evolution. In the path of evolution, many intermediate stages have come, which had got lesser intelligence than the today's humans. That is the reason today's humans are called as wise men or Homo sapiens. Earlier beings, if you see in 1.6, there are many names: Australopithecus, Homo erectus, Homo habilis, right? Neanderthal man, Rhodesian man. What are all these? They are the earlier forms of our ancestors. They are also human, but slightly less wiser, in the sense, how do you measure wisdom? You measure wisdom by the brain capacity. So the number one factor which has helped us become not only a biological being but also a cultural being is the brain size expansion. Brain size was very less earlier, like about 20 30 million, 20 30 lakh years ago, or 2 to 3 million years ago. It was about between 500 to 600, 700 cc. Now we stand at about 400 to 1400 to 1450, in rare cases 1500 cc as well. Nearly three times this brain size has expanded. So there is nothing wrong in calling us as Homo sapiens, the wise man. That means earlier beings were also wise, but lesser wise. They were having less wisdom, some more less wisdom, some more, some more. Like this wisdom was responsible for our cultural evolution as well. So these kinds of ideas generate more and more questions, deeper and deeper introspection. What kind of factors that went into these developments, or why we are calling the us as wise men, others are not so? What is this brain size expansion? Let us go into some details. Okay, so Homo sapiens is a result of long terms of and trends of biological evolution, and in between, right, in the later stages, we have also evolved culturally, as we have noted. Okay, so let us see what are the biological factors that are involved. I mean, that's a very simple question. Many times I ask the students, they also answer very easily. So, which one of these factors do you think come first, biological or cultural? Now, you can also answer the same thing. Like I have asked earlier, right? Earlier sessions, earlier batches, many a times, 100 out of 100, they'll correctly answer. Among these two, biological and cultural, which are the ones which were the earlier factors? Both have been the factors of human evolution, no doubt about it. Brain size expansion is only one thing I have told you. Biological first, absolutely right. Cultural later, 100% right. So this simply biological doesn't like give the entire idea. Again, simply speaking of brain size expansion, in biological things, as I told you, brain size expansion is a one idea. Brain size expansion. Every time you have to write, you cannot miss this. If you just write brain size, it will not give you the marks examiner. And there were several other associated changes. Like one extraordinary thing is like if you want to go from top to bottom, brain here since we started, let us go to this. There is something called as foramen magnum here. Foramen magnum's right. Foramen magnum is a big gap from which the spinal cord enters into the brain skull. You can say from bottom, or the brain is connected to the spinal cord with this big gap called foramen magnum. Foramen magnum's uh, reposition. Better you write this repositioning. Okay, and that means what is that? We will see. And spinal cord becoming like S-shaped. S-shaped. It has become S-shaped. So assumption of spinal cord into S-shaped one. Okay, so this is one thing. And there are many other changes that have happened in the body. That, for example, pelvis got widened. What is pelvis? This area. ये जो होता है ना कटी प्रांत बोलते हैं हम लोग in Sanskrit. It's called kati. In कमर हिंदी में कमर बोलते हैं, तेलुगु में नाड़ु. This pelvis got widened and broadened, and many other features also have taken shape. For example, femur, that is the thigh bone, also went for a change. Femur also got modified. What is that modification? We'll discuss. And there were some associated changes even in the feet. Feet also got modified. Feet, I mean, in the sense the shape and other things like including the what we call the digits. This one, these are called fingers. These are called the toes. The toes of the feet also have undergone change. The shape of the feet have undergone change. They have developed some kind of arches. So all these are the biological factors which have happened or which have been responsible for human evolution and emergence of man. What are some? That means we can write from top to bottom, or you can write from bottom to top. But usually, universally, there is a practice of describing anyone from top to bottom. So I've just given you listed here your biological factors. Then what about the cultural factors? Naturally, once brain started. Acha, another thing I've extraordinarily, I mean, great one. Maybe you can write it here. First one. This is something which is like common for all, or it subsumes all. Bipedalism is the one which covers everything, or which is responsible for all of these factors perhaps. So this bipedalism has freed the hands. Earlier we were all quadrupedal animals, correct? Our ancestors, in the sense, um, as I told you, Australopithecines, the first human ancestors, which have, that means first human like, today's human like features somewhat like 5 or 5 to 10% features they were showing. They came to the evolutionary scene at about 3 million years ago. Just going back, we will find them at about 8 to 10 million years, 15 million years ago. Our ancestors before Australopithecus were all quadrupeds. They were walking like, they were maybe trying to stand up, but not completely bipedal like this. So bipedal involves this hands being freed up from the locomotion. What do you mean by locomotion? Movement, going from one place to the other. So hands, or you call these forearms, right? F-O-R-E. Forearms, F-O-R-E, forearms is a technical word, but we call them as hands. Hands got freed. What do you mean by this? Freed from locomotion in this extraordinary journey called human evolution. So earlier they were like we were. I can't actually show you this. Like, you all know how quadruped animals look, but this evolution has happened like this, and this has to have some purpose. Hands got freed, and these hands were used by our ancestors who lived at about 1 million years ago. They have made first time hand held tools or something like stone tools. So culture is the one which started from this point of time where humans at about 1 million years ago made stone tools. Acha, every time don't get carried away by the facts here, just remember the story. Story is extraordinary here. You go back to my first introductory lecture in the same our in our class also, there is, I think, first or second class, we have this entire journey. I have explained how from arboreal to terrestrial atmosphere people have, our ancestors have come down, and they started kick starting rather our journey into this bipedal line and human line. So that you can remember, connect this that with this. So in human evolution, the second part, as I was just mentioning, is cultural evolution, which was made possible with the stone tools. Then, of course, then came the invention of fire. Then came the clothing. I mean, people started wearing clothes, and then they have done another extraordinary thing called domestication of plants and animals. Domestication of both flora and fauna, or plants and animals. And then came agriculture. Even between them, they have found pottery, bows and arrows, so many things. Like, yeah, better I read bows and arrows first. Bows and arrows, even somewhere it comes here parallelly. Then comes your pottery, and people even started living in cities. When people started living in cities and doing writing, civilization started, and from there we have arrived into the modern age. So stage by stage, humans evolved in this fashion. That entire thing is your cultural evolutionary journey. Please make a note of all this.